And welcome to Mike Ferry TV. It's Mike Ferry. You know, last week we started with a report, how do I ensure that I have a great fourth quarter? And we talked throughout last week's message to you on points 1 through 10 on how to have a great fourth quarter. Today, we're going to look at the second half of the report that all my coaching clients got back in late August because we want to ensure that they have a great fourth quarter. I want to start by throwing a little mantra out to you, which we all know. We've heard it 1,000 times, maybe 10,000 times. And we want to look at it, and I'm going to dispel it as maybe a crazy mantra for a minute, and then we're going to look at how do we make this new mantra I'm going to suggest work for you. And the mantra we've heard for years is this: listings are the name of the game. Listings are the name of the game. And you know what? You can't debate it. Listings are the name of the game. The people that control the listings control the inventory. Those that control the inventory control the marketplace. When you control the marketplace, as you've heard me say, you become the employer in your market, and all the people showing property are the employees. Well, there's a certain fallacy to that particular mantra, listings are the name of the game, because what I've been teaching people during my East Coast tour prior to the retreat coming up in Miami area, actually in Fort Lauderdale to be specific, and or during the tour I did on the West Coast in May and June, was the following. Appointments really are the name of the game. Appointments. Because see, we can't get listings until we go on appointments. So one of the games that I've been playing over the last few weeks with a lot of the great brokerage firms I work with here on the East Coast is the following. I'll ask all the agents to say, would you agree that you have to go on appointments all the time if you expect to get a lot of listings? Now, you know what they all say, absolutely. And then I ask them this question. Okay, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, honestly, how many listing appointments have you gone on so far this year? Tell the truth. Write down the number, cover it up so nobody can see. And you can see a lot of them going like this, and they're thinking, and they're questioning, how many have I gone on? It's September. And then I see them writing. And then I say, how many have you gone on? 2. 2? You've gone for 9 or 10 months and gone on 2 appointments? But I will tell you, 50% of every audience I speak to have not gone on a listing appointment this year so far. Well, I think we all say if listings are the name of the game, wouldn't you agree that going on appointments is absolutely critical? The ability, the skill to develop a routine to get appointments is what makes great agents great. You can't get appointments, you can't get listings. End of conversation. So points 11 through 20 on how to ensure a great fourth quarter talk more about this concept. Hopefully will help you, because here we are now. We're starting this fourth quarter. We're going to go fast. We're going to be effective. We're going to be excited. We're going to be productive. We're going to make it the best fourth quarter of our life. So here's point number 11. During the fourth quarter, you'll hear more of the following. We don't want to do anything during the holiday season. Therefore, you have to become more aggressive than ever in all lead follow-up that you do, because lead follow-up becomes critical. You should be spending 1 solid hour per day doing lead follow-up. And at the same time, when talking to a prospect, be sure to pre-qualify them to the absolute complete last second, because what you can't do is go on appointments where they don't have a lot of motivation. Now, yes, motivation is the name of the game. Last week, we gave you a point. Price, motivation are the key to success in listing property. But guys and gals, remember, if they don't have motivation, you don't want to be sitting in front of them. If they don't have motivation, you don't want to be on an appointment. So how do we find out their motivation? We do a lot of lead follow-up, a lot of pre-qualifying, which brings us right to point number 12. To simplify your lead follow-up, there's 2 questions, okay, that you have to ask. A, how important is it for you to get your home sold now or in the very near future? How important? Well, we got to get it sold right now. We want to be back in Cleveland, Ohio, no later than November 20th. Good, we got to price it then to get it sold. And then question B, what price do you feel you need to have to get your home sold in this market? These are 2 questions we have to ask. These are pre-qualifying questions. They're part of the process. Now I know some of you are going to say, I don't feel comfortable asking those kinds of questions. Wait a minute, you're a salesperson. You're a professional salesperson. Your job is to go out and inspire, to ask questions, seek information, give advice, get contracts signed. How can you do that if you don't ask questions? Number 13, knowing that in real estate today, we're either buying business, buying leads, branding and marketing, etc., or we're waiting for business to find us, open houses, sitting in the office, geographic farming, etc., or we're going to go out and find business and earn it the old-fashioned way by working. Again, since the number of agents playing the game is reduced dramatically now, this time of year, the more time you spend going out to find business, the more contacts, the more leads, the more appointments, and the more contracts you get signed. I don't know what your methodology is for getting listings. At the July Superstar Retreat, we actually went through 42 different prospecting techniques. 42 that are all designed to get you a listing. In October, coming right up around the corner at our Superstar Retreat in Fort Lauderdale, we're going to give you 42 methods of getting a listing. Guys and gals, if you're sitting around the office, see, in my seminars that I've been doing on the tour in South Florida, I've been saying one of the methods of prospecting that agents use today is called sitting and waiting. I walk into an office. What are you doing? I'm sitting. And what are you doing here sitting? I'm waiting. And you're waiting for what? Well, I'm sitting and waiting for somebody to call me and say, come and list my home. Yes, it could happen. Does it happen often? Can you make a living doing that? Can you take 2 listings a month sitting and waiting? Of course you can't. Okay? Now, watch point 14. When you have a specific goal to increase your efficiency and production in the fourth quarter, you have to understand that you're going to have an immediate and positive impact on the first quarter of 2015. October, November, December, you're going to be putting in energy and time that you haven't done maybe so far this year. And at the same time, we know in October, which we'll talk about later, you'll be writing your business plan for 2015. In essence, aren't you creating a 15-month business plan? How can you beat that deal? A 15-month business plan. Now watch. You're going to have more inventory, you're going to have more pendings and more closings in January and February because the work you did in September, October, November, and December. So guess what? This is when, point 14, you spend 30 to 40 minutes a day committing to practicing, perfecting your listing presentation skills, your prospecting skills, so you finish the year strong and start the new year as one of the best agents in your town. From point 15, from October 1st through October 31st, at the end of this month I should say, create a schedule that is so strong and so tight that you can't do anything but list and sell real estate. Can you imagine? Now watch, there's no holidays in October. Holidays are in November and December. You got a full month to give it your best shot. Oh, I know some of the agents in town say, wait a minute, we got Halloween. And of course my joke is that's when some agents get their monthly meal. They're out trick-or-treating. That's not you. You got 30 days to perform. Create a schedule that's so tight that every minute of the day is accounted for and everything is aimed at getting appointments, going on listings, making sales. Because if the schedule's that tight, you're going to find people every week. Here's a thought. Maybe you should find 2 or 3 people who think like you do and have them hold you accountable, you hold them accountable in October, November, December to the goals you've set. Point number 16, there's a decrease in the number of transactions the fourth quarter. We know that. But then the question of what is fair market value becomes even more important. I strongly suggest that on all the listings you have in the fourth quarter and with any offers coming in, you explain to your sellers how fair market value is actually determined. Fair market value is determined when a seller and a buyer meet and complete terms that are good for both parties. That's fair market value. It's a seller and buyer coming together and they're looking at each other saying, I can live with this if you can live with that. And if you do that, guess what? You win all the time. Point 17, starting today, it is absolutely critical to evaluate your market every several days. Monitor and track the market. What's selling? What's not? What areas are hot? What areas are not? What areas should you stay away from? Work the markets that have the most activity. Because remember, if 25 to 30% less agents are working, and there's a hot market over here, and you work it, guess what? Your chances for succeeding go up every time. point 19 that I really need to focus on with you today. There's 3 questions, and you know this, that every seller wants answered when you walk in that front door. Question 1, how much is my house worth? You got to be prepared to answer that question. If you can't answer that question, stay in your car. Get out of here because you're not qualified to list the home. Question 2, how long will it take to sell? How do you know the answer? By studying the market conditions as we talked about in the previous 2 points. If you study the market conditions, you study the inventory, and you're really kept aware of what's going on, you know it could take 30, 60, 90 days. And if it's priced right, it could take less time than that. And obviously, question number 3, what are you going to do to get it sold? Remember last week, I don't know if it was point 3 or 4, we talked about the fact that you had to really look at the service that you offer. What are you going to do to get my home sold? Well, I'm really going to work hard. You know, I'm really enthusiastic. That isn't the answer. They need to know specifically what you're going to do. Okay, now here's what I want you to think about next. On point 19, throughout the course of the year, there are certain relationships, listen carefully, there are certain relationships that you've developed as a productive agent. And these relationships have kept you productive throughout the course of the year. These are the affiliates that you work with. The title, the mortgage, the home services, the appraisers. These are people that are vital to the transaction. Point 19, to have a great 4th quarter, say thank you for what they've done for you so far this year. Well, Mike, they should be thanking me. I gave them business. Yeah, but they kept you in the business by doing a great job. And the last point on my list, develop for yourself a very specific, straightforward 4th quarter plan system for learning. You know, I've been talking about a plan system for learning with our clients, I don't know, 40 years probably, 40 years, where you write out a plan. Here's the 4 or 5 things I'm going to do to keep myself growing, keep myself excited, keep myself energized, keep myself enthused, keep myself moving forward. I'll give you an example. Go to at least one Mike Ferry seminar in the 4th quarter. Watch, read at least 2 good books in the 4th quarter. Spend time listening to great inspirational speakers, whether it be watching a DVD or listening on CD. See, you got to have a plan for improving the quality of what you do. Now, I know that in looking at last week and this week, and I look at this title, how do I ensure my 4th quarter success? I know there's a lot here, but I also know there's a lot to you and who you are. There's a lot you can accomplish. There's a lot you can do. The only thing stopping you from having a great 4th quarter, it's not the market, not your broker, it's not Mike Ferry, it's you. So let's remove the barrier of ourselves. Let's really study this material, watch this message every day for a week, then go to work and have the greatest 4th quarter you've ever experienced. I can't wait to talk to you next week about the next phase of what we have to do. See you next week.